All right, Coach, you got Josh Suture from TrainHeroic, and I want to walk you through how to quickly set up your account. My goal today is to, in under 15 minutes, give you a really good understanding of how you can get things set up for both teams or groups of athletes, individual athletes, or one-on-one clients, how to store your training content in a library that can be reused and repurposed to save you time down the road. Also, how to quickly get some insights that lead to interventions using analytics and reports to help you coach more athletes better. And lastly, I'll touch on gym tools as ways to drive engagement and connection while you're actually inside of a live training environment. So to get started, when you log into your coach account, this page should feel very familiar. It's our teams page. And every athlete that you train will initially belong to a team. Now, even if you're training individual athletes, just understand that a team is a way that you can organize your athletes. You can quickly report on a group of athletes at any time, and importantly, you can scale your efforts by saving time using a group or team's calendar to program for all the athletes simultaneously using one calendar. At the same time, many of our coaches will train individual athletes where they still will belong to a team, like in this example, one-on-one clients, but you won't leverage this shared calendar. You'll instead jump into your individual athlete's calendar. So this will make more sense as we step through it. And really the first thing that I want you to do when you log into your account is top right-hand corner, let's create a team. So in this specific example, I'm going to be training a team of high school football athletes. So I'm going to hit create new in the top right, and I'm going to create a team called West High School Football. Now, importantly, when I create a team, I'm going to give that team a name, and I'm also going to give that team what we call an access code. The access code will give any athlete with this access code access to the team's calendar, the team's message boards, and anything that you're communicating to the athletes on that team. So this access code is WHS 2020. I'm going to, when I sit down with this team of athletes, tell them, hey, I need you to download TrainHeroic on your phone, totally free. Your access code is WHS 2020. And I'm going to hit create team. Any athlete that actually types in that code is going to be populated on my list of athletes here on the left-hand side, but importantly, they're going to have access to anything that I program on this West High School football calendar. So it gives me one leverage point to train a whole ton of athletes at once. Now, if I click back to teams, what I'll notice is that West High School football team is now part of my list of teams. It's something that I can manage just by clicking on at any point in time. Now, importantly, as athletes join this team, what I'll notice is if I click on athletes, that list of athletes will grow and build, and each of these athletes also has their own calendar. So as an example, if I were to click on Rich to look at Rich's calendar, I'll notice, hey, I can program for Rich individually. If Rich belongs to a team, I can simply adjust a training session from the team's calendar to make it something that's unique just to what Rich needs to do. But I have that level of flexibility to program for an entire group or team, an individual athlete, and then, of course, take an athlete from a team and make a small tweak to their specific training session. So we'll jump into what that actually looks like when I get into building a training plan and I place that on the calendar. And that's going to lead me into what we call our library here on the left-hand side. So think of the library as your way to store training content that, again, you can reuse and repurpose. The goal is to store your content in your library so you're saving time training athletes that maybe would use the same program another athlete's using, or a team that might reuse a program from time to time. Okay, so this is, once I've created a team, I'm likely going to go into my library, and this is really step 2. I want you to hit create new to create a new training plan. Now, we're going to create a winter strength cycle. Okay, and that program is going to be 4 weeks long. We're going to have 4 sessions per week. In fact, we'll have 3. And I'm going to hit create program. And what I'll notice is very similar to a team's calendar or an athlete's calendar. Under a program, we'll see a blank calendar. The difference is there's no dates. It's just week 1, week 2, and you have the various days, day 1 through 7 within that week. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over any day on this program, likely week 1, day 1, and I'm going to click add. And that's going to give me a blank template. This is where I'm going to create a training session. My eye is going to go right to the middle of the page, and I'm going to add a block. Now, by clicking add block, we're going to organize your training session into blocks, A, B, C, so on and so forth. Now, in this session, I want my athletes to back squat, so I'm going to search for back squat. I'm going to click on back squat. Next, I want them to bench press, so I'll search for bench press. And you'll notice we've got about 1,500 movements in our exercise library. By searching for a movement, if you find it, awesome, click on it. Each movement's actually attached to coaching points and video. There's going to be instances where you don't find a movement you want. Now that might be because you need to use a more generic search term, but at the same time, there are plenty of movements that TrainHeroic doesn't have in our library. Just click New Exercise. And by clicking New Exercise, you can add your own title. You can even throw in a YouTube link that's always attached to that. And you can save that exercise so that it's something that's stored in your library forever. Okay, in this case, I'm going to just simply search for the bench press. Now, once I've added an exercise, again, you'll notice we've got block A and block B. I'm going to select a prescription. This is your rep scheme. And I'm going to click, I've got some save rep schemes. I'm going to generally start by clicking custom table. Okay, so that lets me click a certain number of sets. In this case, I want 3x5. And instead of weight, each of these are drop-down menus. So I'm going to select percentage, and we're going to go with 60, 65, and 67.5%. That's going to populate a real number based on the athlete's 1 rep max. I could even save this rep scheme and categorize it so I don't need to retype this stuff in going forward. I can put in some notes. So I want to see speed on the bar as an example. Now I'm going to go down to the bench press, select a prescription from something that I've saved in the past. I want 2 sets of 12. Okay, now by doing that, I've saved myself a couple keystrokes. I'll notice that we've got 2 sets of 12. Right? You'll notice when I click on the details here on the right-hand side, there's also the coaching video. Right? Now this is always going to be attached to the movements in our library. Again, if you create your own, that will be attached based on the YouTube link that you post in there. Okay, so right now I've got block A, block B, I've got back squat and bench press. Now rather than being separate, I'm going to actually pair these 2 blocks together by clicking this chain link. Now I have A1 and A2. We're going to be a little bit pressed for time, and I want to superset these movements. Okay, in fact, just knowing that, I might come in here and say, you know what, let's adjust the rep scheme. Let's go with 3x12. In this case, I'm going to leave the weight blank, and I'm just going to say build to a heavy set, 12. Next, I'm going to add another block. Now, the difference here in this third block, or in fact for B, because I'm supersetting A1 and A2, is I don't actually want to prescribe a specific movement. I want to prescribe some mobility. And the way we're going to do that is through what we call a circuit. Now, a circuit is simply a different format to program in. I'm not going to have this be conditioning. This is going to be some prep work. I'm actually going to make it our dynamic warm-up. This is something we repeat often, so it's dynamic warm-up number 1. Okay, and I want 10 yards of the following. Now, I want this to be just text-based because it's not very important for my athletes to log specifically what they're doing here. I just want them to do it. Okay, so I'm going to list out the specific movements that I want to see. And you'll notice I've listed out 5 different movements: 10 yards of A skips, B skips, lateral lunge, jumping jacks, and bear crawl. Now, this just looks like text to our system. So what I want to do is I want to add some video as well. And I'm going to search for an A skip. I'll click on the A skip. That video is attached to this circuit now. I'm also going to add a B skip. Okay, I'm going to add a lateral lunge. I'm going to add jumping jacks and bear crawl, right? And I even could save this circuit to our library, where the dynamic warm-up number 1 is now something when I hit save circuit that's saved. So I, just like a back squat or a bench press, I can simply search for this. And I never have to recreate this. Now, likely, if you see the summary on the left-hand side, I'm not going to do my warm-up after back squat and bench press. So on the left-hand side, I'm simply going to reorder this. So I'm going to move the dynamic warm-up to the top, then have back squat and bench press. Okay, and again, I can make this training session as long as I'd like. For the sake of this webinar being brief, I'm going to leave it to 2 sections right now, A and B. And the big takeaway is you can program both circuits that are text-based. This is great for warm-ups, for cool-downs, for even things like metcons, some conditioning, mobility, right? And then you have your traditional kind of strength work, back squat, bench press, where you're probably programming just an exercise. Create your own exercises if you need to, if they're not in the system as well. Now I'm going to go back to the program here, and what you'll notice is I've been, remember, inside my library programming week 1, day 1 for this winter strength cycle. Okay, eventually I'm going to take this program and place it on a team's calendar or an athlete's calendar and not just leave it in my library. But I need to build the program out. So for the sake of time here, I want to show you a couple shortcuts, one of which is to copy and paste. Now, if this same session were to happen 4 weeks in a row, what I can do is I can simply highlight it. I can hit Control-C on my keyboard or hit copy in the lower right. I can hover over another day, hit Control-V like Victor, or right-click and paste, right? And I'll do this a few times. And now what I can do from here is I can simply make a change. So top right-hand corner, if I click these 3 vertical dots, I can click edit, and I might do something as simple as, sure, I'll leave the warm-up the same, but let's go ahead and add a little bit of volume on the back squat. Let's go by 4x5 now. Let's get up to 70%. Right, or let's go ahead and tweak the movement. Maybe I leave the rep scheme, but I want front squat. Okay, so there's some quick, easy changes that you can make. You can delete, you can reorder, you can move, and that's as simple as, again, highlighting, copying, and pasting. So if I went back to the program, what I'll notice is, okay, now I have week 1 through 4, at least my day 1 set up. You can do this for multiple sessions too. So another example, I'm going to simply click on this session and drag it to day 1, 3, and 5, right? So maybe I have my first week set up. I might highlight all sessions in that first week. Again, hit copy, paste, right? And I've got 2 weeks now. And again, I can come in here and make changes. There's also a quick repeat function. So if I wanted to highlight, I can repeat this week for another 2 times, right? I probably don't want 2 sessions on this day, so I'll delete one of them. But you can make those changes real quick, again, just by left-clicking, highlighting, dragging over, and then from there making some small tweaks. So I've got this 4-week program set up, and again, this is in my library. So if I click back to my library, what I'll notice, if I scroll through my programs, is I'll find this winter strength cycle. And I could adjust it at any time, right, just by clicking on that. If I'd like to copy it and make a version 2.0, I can click to the left and make a copy of it. But importantly, I probably want to deliver this to a team. In this case, we created that West High School team. So I'm going to go back to teams. And remember, in the background, when I created this team, I had a code, right, that access code. I'm going to share that code with my athletes. So I know on their end, they're downloading the app and typing in that code, which means they have access to everything on this team's calendar. Right? So on my end, once I've created the program, I'm going to come here into the calendar. In the top right-hand corner, there's a little shortcut where I can add something for my library. And I'm going to go to Programs. I'm going to find that winter program. I'm going to click on it and decide when I want it to start. In this case, it's the 6th. And I'll hit OK, and I'll add it to my calendar. And what happens is, starting on the 6th now, that program is on the calendar. I can make any change I want to the calendar directly, just like I could in the program. Right? So that might be adding a session, moving a session around. One important note is, when you deliver a program or a training session to an athlete or to a team, you'll notice this published icon up top. What that means is it's visible, it's readable by the athlete, it's on the app, and it's live. So if I want to make a change, I need to first click the top right-hand corner and unpublish. From there, I can make any change I want. So I can move this thing, I can tweak it, I can come here and edit it, and any change I make, as soon as I hit publish, every athlete can see those changes. So I can do this for a team, I can do it individually, and again, this makes my efforts scalable. You'll hear us use the term quite a bit, coach more athletes better. We hope you can coach more athletes better because you have this program that you can deliver to a ton of athletes simultaneously, a ton of individual athletes by just clicking on athletes and going into their calendar. And then, of course, you can make small tweaks for that particular athlete as you need to. So I hope that helps. I know that was quick. There's going to be specific questions that you have. We're happy to follow up with you and jump on a screen share, talk through those things. If supporting you through email is easier, you can always reach our team at support@trainheroic.com or call us at 855-688-5438. And we love to schedule time with our coaches to walk through things personally and individually. Now, beyond teams, athletes, and the library, I want to talk briefly about analytics and reports. You'll notice a number of different reports and analytics available. And the goal of these reports and analytics is to give you some insights that lead to interventions. I always tell coaches, start with compliance. You want to first change behavior. So if you click on compliance, what you're able to do, and this is one of the benefits of organizing your athletes into teams, is you can look at either all your athletes or a specific group or team of athletes over some time, right? So in this case, maybe I want to look at what's happened for the last 90 days, right? So we'll look at every training session within those 90 days, tell you how many they've logged, what percentage of their total sessions that is, total blocks versus blocks prescribed. So you can see, are they actually completing the whole session or just a small portion of it. But hopefully this gives you the insights that lead to you clicking on that athlete and messaging that athlete or having a conversation with that athlete when they walk into the gym, right? Or when you're actually training them. So analytics and reports will take some time for there to be enough data in here for you to get real value, but just know that everything from readiness data on a daily basis to their actual performance and progress is going to be hugely beneficial just to help, again, you coach more athletes better. But it all starts with compliance. So getting that behavior change, getting them to show up and to holding them accountable to doing that will be really important. Now, lastly, gym tools. You'll see a number of different tools. These are designed for live training environments. So whether you're projecting a leaderboard or a whiteboard inside your facility, or you have what we call our team app, which is designed for a tablet to be shared between multiple athletes. So they don't necessarily need their phones. They're actually logging on one shared device, being a tablet. And lastly, spreadsheets gives you the ability to really control inputs for your athletes, specifically under testing circumstances. You can actually punch in their numbers using the spreadsheet functions. Again, these are all designed to be kind of live in-gym tools that I won't touch on today. I promise to keep this under 15 minutes, and I'm a minute over that cap. So I'm going to stop. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this was helpful just in getting you comfortable with how to set up your account. If you have any questions for our team, again, please email us, support@trainheroic.com, or call us at 855-688-5438. We're really excited to have the chance to work with you. Thanks for walking through this, and we'll talk with you soon. Thanks, Coach.